Oh, hey. Who is ready to party? Ah. It's just a jump to the left, and then a step to the right. Put your hands on your hips. You bring your knees in tight, but it's the pelvic thrust that really drives you insane. That's right, friends. For the third week of Pride 2021, we are doing Rocky Horror Picture Show. Woo! I'm very excited. I got some very exciting makeup for this. I hope you'll stay tuned. So if you'll excuse me while I block my eyebrows, put up my hair, and I'll be back with you shortly. I'm very excited. I love this movie. Welcome to my blocked eyebrows and hair put back. For makeup today, we're going to do something very special. I'm going to start with the Tatcha Silk Canvas. I haven't used this in a little while. I got it as a gift. I don't know if you can see it. It is expensive. I think it's like $60 for the full-size version. I will say it does last a long time. Like, this is a sample version. It's been maybe like a year now, and I use it pretty often. So, I mean, it's a little thick if you're into that sort of primer situation. I really love the Bobbi Brown stuff, which is also super bougie and expensive. But so I think there's Elf makes a good dupe of this if you like the Tatcha Pure Silk Canvas primer, but you know, do not have the finances for it. Really, any kind of primer is better than no kind of primer, I've found. Alright, so today we're talking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I'm sure if you're watching this you know was originally a stage musical. Originally produced in 1973. This movie, the movie version that we're seeing was made in 1975. Starring the fabulous Tim Curry, of course. And apparently the sequel to this is called Shock Treatment. Which I have seen, and I'm like on the fence about reviewing for the channel, but we'll see. Anyway, so what's really interesting about this movie is it came out like a few years after Stonewall and was considered like sort of a milestone in terms of like queer cinema and queer like representation in cinema in some respects. So I'll say this, for its time it was incredibly liberal and progressive. Like, everyone in the mansion gets to do whatever they want, sleep with whoever they want. It's not a big deal. And the person in charge is a transsexual, right? From Transsexual Transylvania. Which is a whole other thing. Like, we don't really use the word like tranny anymore, so that's a... Okay, so the long and short of it is that I feel like it's very progressive for its time. But taken out of context now, I can totally understand where people would find parts of it homophobic and transphobic and all that. But at the same time, it is a super fun cultural artifact. I'm really excited to get into it. Yeah, in fact, I'm doing very special music. In fact, I'm doing very special makeup for today. So I was inspired by Columbia, who is one of the characters in the play/movie, and yeah, I've had this thought for like a Phantom of the Opera sort of look. So yeah, bear with me, but we're gonna do sort of like a half face and sort of like two different face situation. It's gonna be super fun. I'm very excited. Hang in there. Okay. Alright, so we're going to use this mask as part of it. So let's see, where does this sit in my face? I'm just grabbing like I think it's like an under eye pink pen or something. Pencil. Okay. Cool, so we've got sort of like a basic-ish shape for where the mask lies. And it doesn't, for this, it doesn't have to be exact. Like, I'd rather the outside sort of like fall into it a little bit, then it'd be like a hard line. But I just kind of want to know what we're working with. Alright, cool. Alright, so for 2/3 of the face, we're going to be using our usual TV Krylon paint stick. Okay, oh my god. Okay, whew! Rocky Horror Picture Show. A horror comedy musical. Gender bending. Released in 1975. That it was actually released is sort of incredible. So, we open on the movie, and if you've never seen the movie and you're just listening to this because you'd rather listen to this than watch the movie, more power to you. If you've seen the movie, of course you know. It opens on a pair of lips mouthing the words to science fiction / double feature, which is the opening. And it's pretty great. Apparently the lips were so those lips are actually Patricia Quinn's lips, fun fact. Apparently the original name for this movie, or one of the original names, was They Came from Denton, which is funny because I guess the main characters, Brad and Janet, are sort of like stereotypical Americans, and the city they come from is Denton. So it does sort of, with that title, it does sort of feel like a flip reverse on the whole you know, science fiction sort of genre thing. There's a lot of very interesting things in here. We're gonna get into it. Okay. So we get that intro, we get that awesome song. Lots of awesome songs in this, of course, if you aren't already aware. Alright, so we open on a wedding in Denton. It is not Brad and Janet's, of course, but apparently a friend of theirs. And I guess Janet's really keen on getting married to Brad. And he's not entirely sure, but then does a whole musical number called Damn It, Janet, where he essentially proposes to her. And they are now fiancés after this. Which I guess is great if he was into that. It just feels very like that sort of 50s, well, everyone else is getting married, who are you getting married to, sort of like pressure bullshit. But anyway. By the way, it's Susan Sarandon as Janet, and she's amazing in it. Who plays Brad? Apparently it's Christopher Malcolm. Well, he does a great job as Brad. So, since I've gotten so into, like, makeup and everything, little, makeup palette, little, sort of like I used to do oil paints, and all of this feels very similar to that. Take some of the Ben Nye light pink, yeah, and then I'm gonna add into it, a touch of this, Ben Nye bright pink, and then probably tone it down a little bit with some of this white in here. Give me a moment to mix. Alright, we've got this fun light pink color, and we're gonna try to color in the rest here. Alright, we're gonna add a little contour highlight and then sort of buff things out. Alright, so these douchebags are engaged. They decide to go on a trip to visit his friend, Dr. Everett something. Anyway, so it's stormy out, it's raining, it's bad weather, and of course the car breaks down, and of course he doesn't have a spare tire. Which I want to use. I'm gonna use this Ben Nye light pink, and then the hazelnut. Where are you? And now that they're out on their little trip, this is when we get our first little introduction to the narrator, who sort of pops in every so often to tell us what's going on. Yeah, the reason they end up going to this castle is because Brad is like, hey, I saw a castle on the way back, there's got to be people there. As though that wasn't ominous enough, but okay. And Janet insists on going with them, so they both go to this castle. Big sign on the front that says enter at your own risk. They are greeted at the door by Riff Raff, of course. Oh, before this though, there's another musical number called Over at the Frankenstein Place, where Janet and Brad are making their way through the rain to the front door of the thing. It's a nice song, but yeah, just so you know. Alright, so they finally enter, they meet Riff Raff, and they meet Magenta, who appears, at least at this point, to be just like the maid or whatever of the place. And her and Riff Raff seem to have a relationship of some sort. And then, of course, we come to one of my favorite musical numbers, The Time Warp, a classic. It opens when Riff Raff, like the clock chimes and Riff Raff starts singing and opens it up and just skeleton inside. And of course, Janet and Brad are freaked out. It's super fun. We meet all of the party. Oh, and the narrator takes in part of the song as well. We meet all of the party guests, and they're all in some sort of like a version of a tux with white shoes and like jazz heels on. It's pretty great. Also, if you've never been to a midnight showing of Rocky Horror, I know the pandemic's sort of like lifting slowly right now, but if you see any of them near you and you've never been, 100% go. I would say like don't even like Google to like see what you're gonna get into. I think it's better not to know. Yeah, and tell them that it's your first time and that you're a virgin, and it will be amazing. If you have massive social anxiety though, don't do this, because they will pull you on stage. It will be great and fun, but yeah, if you can't handle that, just so you know. But I love this movie so much. Okay, anyway. So we meet all the party guests who are super cool, super fun. And then we meet Columbia, who's got a super high pitched voice, wearing sequins all the time, and is half my inspiration for my look today. Alright, and so we finally find out what the whole purpose of this shindig and all the lab equipment and stuff is about. We find out... Oh wait, actually, first... we meet Dr. Frankenfurter, Tim Curry, finally. Oh, so great. He sings Sweet Transvestite, which is a classic. Love that song. And then we find out why everybody's here, / why it's such a big night tonight. And it turns out he's making a man. Very exciting. Sort of like Weird Science in reverse, right? Although I think Weird Science came out after this. Alright, let's go in with a tiny bit of highlight on the other side over here, too. So, I'm just, actually, let's go with some highlight for the colored portion as well. So I'm grabbing some of this, bright pink. So yeah, while Frankenfurter is telling Janet and Brad about the man that he's making, he basically has them stripped down into their skivvies / underwear. Which, I guess is a choice. Neither one of them seem to mind that much. I don't know. Hard to say. And then takes them to the lab to see the man and wants to present him to them. Alright, we're going to try to powder this up a little bit. It's going to be the kimchi puff up path on this side, and then the Ben Nye neutral set over here. Alright, so we get to the lab, and it's actually an operating theater. At least he gives them lab coats, Janet and Brad, which is nice. He gives a big speech about how Frankenfurter holds the secret to life itself. Yeah, and then starts, we reveal a large water bath with a dude wrapped in bandages. Riff Raff turns on the cranks, different colors get added, there's electricity, and he lives! He lives! Slowly takes off the bandages, sings the song Sword of Damocles, and as he takes off his bandages, Rocky is wearing nothing but tiny, tiny, tiny gold shorts and some gold shoes. And Frankenfurter chases him around the lab in a very concerning moment. I'm gonna stop talking for a second because I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna let this bake for a second and I'll get right back to you. Alright, so I think I'm gonna do like most of the normal face first, and then we're gonna go to the other side. So yeah, Rocky is born. Frankenfurter chases him. Rocky sings Sword of Damocles, and then also Frankenfurter sings I Can Make You a Man. And Rocky starts working out, and it's really hot and hilarious. Alright, so I'm gonna put a little, just sort of like neutral powder underneath the eye to catch fallout. Alright, so on the normal eye, so this is the ColourPop Blue Moon palette. And I'm grabbing the Da Ba Dee, which is this sort of purple violet situation here. Alright, so after all of this, deep from like the deep freeze that just happens to be in the same room everyone is in, bust fucking Meatloaf, yo! Meatloaf is in this movie, and he's so good. He plays Eddie, who's sort of like Columbia's boyfriend, rocker boyfriend, slash zombie. I guess Frankenfurter had frozen him in the freezer, and he busted out and was trying to get out and sings a whole song, and it's really great. Oh yeah, the song is called Hot Potato, Bless My Soul. I cannot encourage you enough to check it out. And not only is he like a motorcycle riding zombie back for his girlfriend, but he has a saxophone on his back that he just pulls around and does a huge sax solo, and it's amazing. Love it. Then he sort of alarmingly drives through a crowd of people that are like up the ramp of this sort of operating theater. Which, like, whatever, alright. And then he goes to try to take Columbia and, I guess, ride out to freedom or safety. And Frankenfurter can't have this, and then essentially hacks Eddie to death. Oof. And of course, Columbia is devastated, screaming, tearful, all that. And then we get a reprise of the I'll Make You a Man song. And then Rocky seems to be warming up to Frankenfurter a little bit, which seems like a mistake. Yeah, so what's really interesting about this movie is that, like, it was released, I want to say, like, 5 or 6 years after Stonewall happened. So, for the time, it is incredibly progressive and liberal and transgressive. However, taken out of context today, there are definitely parts of it that I think 100% not only could be seen as like homophobic, but like super like transphobic and stuff. So it's a really interesting sort of artifact. So like the villain slash bad guy is, haha, surprise, Frankenfurter, who's a transsexual from from transsexual Transylvania, and like, you know, he's like ends up being like a cannibal and all these other horrible things. But then the people who are supposed to be good that take him away are also sort of incestuous. I get that, like, so what probably happened is that, like, when it was being made, but I'm guessing people were like, you know, well, trans and gay people can't actually have a happy ending. So if, like, they have to exist, it has to be in, like, some sort of, like, oh, I fucked up. It has to be in some sort of, like, you know, negative format, right? And that's why a lot of like there's a whole, in fact, I'll include the video, there's a whole thing about like how a lot of Disney villains are queer coded, because it was one of the only ways you could represent queerness, even if it was coded, and B, sort of this weird thing that our society has with like queerness being bad and evil. So it feeds into that, but it also creates a representation. It's a very, like, interesting dynamic. I stupidly forgot I'm doing 2 different sides of my face. So I'm going to try to take off this other makeup and see what happens. This is not going to go well, I promise. And this is just some, like, pink powder that I'm going to throw on it. Yeah, so we also do randomly cut back to the narrator. So it turns out everyone's gonna get their own private room for the night. Ooh, right? And it's just a cheap crown eye marker pencil. So Columbia's love is dead. And as we learn, there are cameras in each room, which is creepy and not cool, but... Alright, so then we get like a real fun little sequence. A Frankenfurter dresses up as Brad and attempts to sleep with Janet. He's wearing a wig, and Janet rips it off and is like, wait a minute, you're not Brad. Which, thank God, because had he gone through with it, that is what was it? I forget what the technical name is, but it's rape, y'all. That's rape. But after he reveals himself, he is still kind of pushy, but Janet seems into it, and after like 20 seconds, she's like, okay, well, just don't tell Brad. Alright, girl, you do you. Apparently, meanwhile, Rocky has been chained to a bed, and he is so strong that he breaks away. and starts running off while this is all happening. Meanwhile, Frankenfurter, I guess after he's finished with Janet, decides to go and dress as Janet and tries to sleep with Brad. And then with Brad, we get a very similar thing where he's like, oh no, I'm not into it, but then he's like, seems super into it, and he's like, okay, well, just don't tell Janet. So, it's pretty great. We see like a little news report on the TV that's trying to call out Frankenfurter, saying that Rocky has escaped, but he's clearly too busy with Brad, so, you know. So I think we're gonna grab a little moonlight here to buff out a bit. Meanwhile, after Janet's all finished and stuff, she gets pulled by people. And then, of course, happens to see Brad in the, I guess, aftermath with Frankenfurter and is devastated, even though she just slept with him herself. But, you know, whatever, double standards, you do you. So, in her sort of, like, desperation or whatever, she finds Rocky. And is like, hey, I want to sleep with you. So, and then we get the song, touch me. Touch me. I wanna be dirty. Alright, let's dust off some of this under. Let's do a little contour highlight on this side. I'm going to go to the Sephora Pro Groundbreaking Dark Brown for the contour. Blush, we're going to do a mix of this orange pink from the Kimchi Cheek Thaler blush. I've got like a little mini Fenty Diamond Bomb. I'm going to highlight a little bit of that, and then, yeah. Let's then we'll move on to the side. So of course, Janet and Rocky get discovered by Frank and Brad. And now we have dinner time. Frankenfurter has like what looks like a large piece of meat or turkey, and he is cutting it menacingly in total silence with an electric carver, and it's beautiful. And then, of course, because technically this is the day Rocky's born, they all sing happy birthday to him. And then it becomes... Oh, I should mention, before this dinner, Dr. Everett Scott walks in, who, you know, Brad has been looking for this whole time. Apparently, he's looking for Frankenfurter. He comes with the Bureau of Investigations of UFOs or something, which will come into play later. But yeah, so they have this huge dinner. There seems to be only meat and some celery sticks, which is concerning. And then it becomes clear that the meat that they're eating is Eddie. And Columbia, of course, runs out, even though she's eaten a lot of it, and starts screaming. Of course, uncontrollably. Can't blame her for that. And then we get a cute little, like, musical number about Eddie, I guess. I guess he was a bad kid. But he left a note warning saying that that the people, specifically Frankenfurter, must not carry out his evil deeds, and since Eddie is the doctor's nephew, that is why he has come. And Rocky seems to be upset / found out. And then at this moment, whew, so Frankenfurter pulls off the tablecloth of the table to reveal that they've been eating on top of the mangled corpse of Eddie, and you can kind of clearly see where stuff has been carved out for food. And it's super disturbing, and I think somebody throws up, and I can't remember who. Perhaps I'm imagining that. Alright, we still need to do lips and lashes, but let's start doing the fun stuff over here. Alright, so I just got a little bit of spirit gum. And I'm gonna use it to secure down some kind of heavy pearls over here. Alright. So it turns out, so we get the whole Wise Up Janet Weiss song, which is fun. And it turns out the doctor wants, because I guess Frankenfurter's an alien, he wants his technology. Of course, it's always about the technology, right? And then this is the point that we find out that, I mean, Magenta and Riffraff have had a very close relationship the whole time, which, whatever. But this is the point where we find out that they are brother and sister. Yikes. And then now we're gonna get to see the floor show. I was gonna use some feathers and glue them on, too. Oh yeah, when Frankenfurter pulls off the tablecloth to reveal Eddie, he turns to Rocky and goes, "How could you?" Just, oh, such a. So then I guess Frankenfurter turns everyone in there into different statues. And then finally we get to see the floor show, and he positions all of his statues just as he wants, and I guess is controlling the show, and we get to see a fun little salute to Frankenfurter, if you will. So the floor show. So the floor show is basically Columbia, Rocky, Brad, and Janet, all the people who have disobeyed him, who were made into statues, all dressed like him and performing a wonderful sort of Bugsby Berkeley style with like Rockettes salute to him. One by one he unzaps them and makes them perform for him. And it's pretty awful, but at the same time I understand. And then after all four of them have their little like fun, overly controlled intro, also Brad really seems to enjoy being dressed up, which is fun. The curtain in the back opens to reveal Frank, and he's in front of like a big fake RKO tower, if you remember that. Google RKO tower, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was like in the back of their little promo for all their movies. It was a big studio in the heyday of the studio era. Anyway, we get a whole bunch of like musical songs. Frankenfurter singing "Don't Dream It, Be It." There's a big number. They're all in a pool, and there's like a kick line. It's pretty great. Alright, well then we get a fun little surprise that like, well, by this time we all know that, you know, Frankenfurter is an alien. But apparently, his most two trusted assistants, Magenta and Riffraff, have apparently, in the meantime, been promoted to new commander of the mission and are trying to arrest him because he's taken things too far on his experiment on Earth. They also come from transsexual Transylvania, which I guess is a planet somewhere in the galaxy. And then Frank gets like a whole goodbye song, of course, where he thinks he's singing to a full audience, but turns out it's empty. Sad. He then tries to climb the, so he tries to climb the RKO tower, he tries to make a run for it, and they zap him with their alien zapping thing. And then Rocky gets super upset, picks him up, and, like, King Kong style, tries to take him to the top of the fake RKO tower in the background. Except that it's made of cardboard and it can't support him, so eventually it falls down. When the tower falls and it's clear that Frankenfurter is dead, Rocky mourns, and it's kind of sad. It's very, like, very Frankenstein's monster, like, yeah, that dude did not have good intentions for you, but, you know, he also was your creator, right? I had very similar conflicted feelings when my father left. Father died. Left this plane. You know what I mean. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of loving this, like, glamorous disease thing I'm working on over here. Okay. Oh yeah, so Rocky mourns. He tries to, like, run away, but oh my god. So it turns out the aliens can't zap him. He's just too strong, which is great and hilarious. Alright, so after they can't zap Rocky and he just sort of falls into the pool, Riffraff and Magenta, the now aliens in control, advise Brad and Janet that they should probably leave because they're about to transport the entire house back to the planet Transsexual in the galaxy Transylvania. The land of night. Alright, so then we get the Time Warp Reprise. Brad, Janet, and the Doctor all escape just in time. Great. And then it just sort of cuts to a little epilogue where the narrator, who is telling us all of this, tells us to beware and closes a book. And it's called the Denton Affair, because Denton is the town that Brad and Janet are from. Alright, y'all, so that's like most of the movie. I'm gonna finish up some of this makeup here. I'm gonna add some more jewels and stuff. I'll cut back in with the lip stuff. And then, yeah, wig, outfit, and I'll get back to you in a second. See you in a minute. Alright, so we're just gonna do like a red lip pencil, little glitter glue, some red glitter, and yeah, and then I think we'll be ready to rock and roll. I'll check in before, you know, I put on my final look, but yeah, I'm very excited about this. Alright, that was just a Crown lip pencil, Ben Nye glitter, and then I did go in with a little bit of a NYX glitter glue just because the lipstick was getting a little dry. Yeah, I'm very excited. Alright, I'm gonna put on the rest of this look and rate this movie, and we are gonna, yeah, we're gonna do it. I'm so excited. I love this look. I'm really, I can't wait to show you guys. Can't wait. Alright, I am very much into this. It was very, Columbia meets Phantom of the Opera. Okay, are you guys ready for the reveal? Ah! You guys ready? Ready? Oh! Oh! Almost lost my hat. Yes! Do you like? I love it. I effing love this. Big fan. You can't see, but I have big lip pasties on underneath this. I don't know if YouTube will let me show you, but I guess you can kind of use your imagination, right? Yeah. So Rocky Horror Picture Show. Gonna give it a solid 4 out of 5 sweet transvestites. The only lack of star is just because it's just a little out of date. Just like a little bit. But really, it's a cult classic. It's so fun. It's so weird. It's for a lot of people, it was really sort of the intro into being gay and wondering what queer is and all that sort of thing. Love this movie. So yeah, 4 out of 5 sweet transvestites. Y'all like this look? You ready? Ready? I don't want anyone to see. Oh, my fabulous pearlescent. Okay, so I kind of, the back of the hair is a little mess. I kind of love this. Super in love with this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next week for another awesome Pride movie, or if you're just watching them, I'll catch you on the next time. Please like and subscribe. It helps me so much if you can. Yeah, and yeah, fucking watch Rocky Horror. It's so good. And if you've never been to a midnight showing, please go. Don't look it up online. Don't find out what it is, especially if you've never been. Like, just go. Just go. It will change your life. Let's do the time warp again.